Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome back from the weekend. How you doing? Hope you're having a great day today, or at least it's off to a good start. You find out, I guess, how it goes when you get to the end of the day, right? So today is the 4th of April, 2016. 4th of April, we have a sun sign in Aries. A moon sign has just made a transition. It's gone from Aquarius, where it's been over the weekend, and it made a transition today at 12:45 a.m., just a little bit past midnight, into Pisces. So it's a water sign. So what we have today is a fire sign and a water sign. Okay, fire sign, Emperor, he who sets in order. Okay, organization. So springtime, we think of spring cleaning, putting things in order. We organize. After we have through the organizational process, we learn about how to move through life. This is the card of Pisces. Pisces is all about emotions. It tells us that we come from the fluid of life. We come out of the spirit of life. And as we evolve into the material realms, we go through different phases. First phase is we have to learn not to get caught up in all the emotions. So we develop the shell around ourselves. And then we learn to be nature, work with nature, be animalistic, and then we become more domesticated. And eventually we move past everything we know because we start to get intelligent and we get to the end of what we know. It's what the pillars represent. And then we go past it. We go past what we don't know into the unknown. Now we have two towers here. Think about it. There's a correlation between the World Trade Center. Two towers came down. Once we got to those two towers, we now moved past a point where we didn't know we were. We moved into unknown territory because we hadn't experienced something like that before. So everything changed once you go past the two towers, okay? So past the two towers, we have faith. We have to apply our lessons of faith. Now, faith is one of those things that people often have challenge understanding. What is faith? Is faith believing in God? Well, if God is the be-all, end-all that we know God is, then our belief in God really doesn't matter because that source, that force, is going to continue to operate in the way that it operates with or without us. So our believing in that force isn't really necessary. So faith isn't about that. Faith is about our ability to allow that spirit to flow through us. It's believing in our ability, having faith that we have what it takes to allow that spirit to flow through. And being in a physical body that has all the challenges of the physical world and wants to pull us to the physical world, it's even more of a challenge because then we have to train our bodies, this physical structure, we have to train it to be able to allow spirit in more and more. So that's the idea of faith, at least to me, as I'm coming to understand it even more, that we have to allow that spirit to flow through. That's what it's all about. Either we let it flow through or it's blocked off. And that's been the challenge throughout the course of history as we look back at all the events taking place in the world. 2:01 p.m. we have an aspect between Pisces and Aries. So these are the two signs right there that we've just looked at. Aries is Emperor and Mars. And the moon sign here, Pisces, is what I just showed you. So what we have here is an energizing effect that is applied to our emotions. So our emotions get charged. Our emotions get charged, and when our emotions get charged, here's one of the downsides of this. This is also a card that represents the god of war. So when our emotions get charged, what do we want to do? We want to lash out. So the lesson, the square, is not to charge out, not to lash out, to learn how to process that energy different. So we're not lashing at something. So we're finding a different way to use that life force, that energy passing through us. And then 6:42 p.m. we have a conjunction. This is between Pisces and Neptune. Neptune says we got to take a new perspective on things. Okay? We have to take a new perspective, and here it is right here in Pisces. These are the two right here. So later on today, they're next to each other where they can talk, and the moon, which is our unconscious desires, wants to express its feelings, wants to express its emotions. And Pisces here, Neptune says, that's great, but let's not get caught up in the victimization of what these are. Let's see if we can have a deeper understanding of what this really means, because there's a purpose. There's a cleansing. All of this has a purpose. So as we get to understand it and we look at it a little better, we move and navigate through life a little smoother. Okay, the moon sign is 11.5% of the way full. Actually, the moon phase. In just a couple days from now, 3 days from now, we're going to be at that new moon, April 7th. On the Jewish calendar, 25 Adar 2 is the day. The daily thought for today is, once we get to it here, the daily thought is storyteller. The storyteller. Abandon the notion that there is a world and there is a God. It is as fallacious as thinking that there is a story and a storyteller. There is only one storyteller expressing himself in the story he tells. There is only one unknowable expressing himself as the world. On the Dreamspell Oracle, we're at a new wave spell. This is the wave spell of the serpent, which is the life force energy, how we use it. Today is the second day of that, so it's the challenge of the energy flowing through us. We just saw a moment ago with the astrology that there's a challenge this afternoon with that Mars energy, the red energy, so we just need to understand. This is the world bridge. It teaches us the lesson in life and death, so looking at different sides of this energy. The phrase for today is I polarize in order to equalize, stabilizing opportunity. I seal the store of death with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of endlessness, and today is a galactic activation portal day. Again, one of these intense days, 10 days in a row. So hold on to your hats, my friends. Energies are intense all around us. Solar wind currently at 403.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K index quiet at a 2 to a 4 over the next 24 hours. Not a lot of corona holes. A few little slits seem to be opening up. I say little, but these are actually a lot larger than the Earth, each one of these. M-class flare possibility is at X at 1%. X is at 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity in the mid-latitudes going from 20 to 35%. High latitudes from 25 up to 55%. So there's a big jump of what's going on out there energy-wise. And finally, looking up at the sky, Monday the 4th, double shadow on Jupiter late tonight for telescope users in the central and western North America, 2:37 to 3:19 a.m. Tuesday morning Pacific Daylight Time. Both 2 Europa cast their little shadows onto the planet. All right, there you go. That's our cosmic weather. That's what we're dealing with today. We got fire of Aries. We have the water of Pisces. So we have ideas and we have emotions. Sometimes ideas and emotions can clash. So we want to make sure that the fire and water, when they work together, isn't just going to create a lot of steam that's going to then lead people to want to do insane things. We want to make sure the water and the fire balance each other. So there's not too many emotions that are going to overwhelm the ideas or cause ideas to be chaotic and crazy, and not too many ideas that are going to overwhelm all the emotions. So, we have to find that balancing act. All right? All right. Moving on. UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today, I have 5 stories. Actually, make that 4. First story comes to us from Spain. This was a sighting that took place March 27th. Okay, here we have an area marked out where there's a cloaked mothership, alleged cloaked mothership, I shall say, and here we have a UFO over in this area here. Seem a little bit better when it's zoomed in. It says a fleet of UFOs lift off the coast ocean near island of Spain. Look closely, and not only do you see a long UFO over the water of Callao Island, but you also see 5 round UFOs behind it. There is something very big and cloaked on the left side of the screen. It looks like buildings, but it's probably a cloaked vessel. One mothership with cigar appearance plus 5 objects near the mothership, far away up to the skyline, caught from our security camera with movement detector. You can see clearly the photo, but the video only appears as a flash during 1 second in the number 2 of the film. Right? Very good. Now we go over to Virginia. Object in the sky that looks boomerang in nature. Silver UFO over neighborhood in Virginia, March 26th. Saturday, March 26th, I was exiting the Huntington Metro Garage from Huntington Avenue side. When coming down the ramp across from Fenwick Drive, when I glanced over and I saw a strange silver gray object hovering in the distance, seemingly over the area of the Eisenhower Duke Avenue Street. I could not tell its exact size, but it was large and stationary. I noticed that the sky was pretty cloudy, but the top of the object was reflecting sunlight or radiated its own light. As I was watching the item, a couple came up to me and said that they had first spotted the object from the metro train as they came into Eisenhower Station. The wife stated that her husband did not see any type of tether and asked if I saw one. I said I did not, and we watched it hover, then spin on its axis. Then I saw the attachments just under its nose. It was slightly curved and reddish in color. I took out my cell phone, snapped a couple of pictures. I then quickly crossed Huntington Avenue and made my way towards Huntington Park, which took me more than 5 minutes. I lost sight of the object, so I crossed the length of the park, still not spotting it. I made my way to the bank of Cameron Run, Huntington Creek, looked and saw everything. I stood there for about 10 minutes before I left and went on my way. The pictures are nice and clear, but the object is so far away. Right? But you could see definitely it is boomerang-ish. Boomerang-ish. How about that? We'll leave it there. Okay, from the boomerang, we have a compilation of UFOs from the month of March. Alright, I'm just going to leave this link available to you. You could see, there you go, all the way back to the beginning of the month. We've seen many of these. And I'm just going to leave it to you so you can check that out. And one last story here. This says, do we have the technology to hide planet Earth from extraterrestrials? And should we do it? Laser cloaking device could hide us from aliens. Maybe your thought process is in line with Stephen Hawking that aliens have not visited Earth, and we should do everything possible to prevent such an occurrence. Humans could use net controlled laser emission to conceal the Earth from searches by advanced extraterrestrial civilizations who might wish to exploit our planet's beautiful resources. Several prominent scientists, including Stephen Hawking, have cautioned against humanity broadcasting our presence to intelligent life on other planets. Other civilizations might try and find Earth-like planets using the same techniques we do, including looking for the dip in light when a planet moves directly in front of stars and orbits. Researchers from Columbia University in New York said these events, transits, are the main way that Kepler mission and similar projects search for planets around other stars. So far, Kepler alone has confirmed more than 1,000 planets using this technique, with tens of these worlds similar in size to the Earth, researchers said. Alien scientists may use this approach to locate our planet, which will be clearly in the habitable zone of the Sun, where the temperature is right for liquid water, and so be a promising place for life, researchers suggest. Hawking and others are concerned that extraterrestrials might wish to take advantage of the Earth's resources, and that their visit, rather than being friendly, could be devastating, as when Europeans first traveled to the Americas. Researchers suggest that transits could be masked by controlled laser emission, with the beam directed at the star where the aliens might live. When this transit takes place, the laser would be switched on to compensate for the dip in light. According to researchers, emitting a continuous 30 megawatt laser for about 10 hours once a year would be enough to eliminate the transit signal, at least in visible light. The energy needed is comparable to the collected by the International Space Station in a year. A chromatic cloak effective at all wavelengths is more challenging and would need a bigger array of tunable lasers with a total power of 250 megawatts, researchers said. Alternatively, we could cloak only the atmospheric signatures associated with biological activity such as oxygen, which is achievable with a peak laser power of just 160 kilowatt per transit. To another civilization, this should make the Earth appear as if we never took hold of our world. As well as cloaking our presence, the laser could also be used to modify the way the light from the sun drops during a transit to make it obviously artificial and thus broadcast our existence. Researchers suggest that we could transmit information along the laser beams at the same time, providing a means of communication. Okay, here's an article here, or a video with a little bit of information. I don't know if I should laugh at this story, if it's a joke or what, but really we're going to cloak the planet. That's the plan, guys? Cloak the planet from beings who probably already know that we're here? That seems kind of weird and out there, but if you think that might work, you go for it. Cloaking the planet from the beings that already know we're here. Okay. Who thought of that? Who's the brainchild behind that one? I'd like to know that. That is the UFO news. I'll be back. Let's start off with a wake-up call. Wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Okay, continuing on. So I've been doing this show for a while, and as you know, I do a show that is inclusive, an hour-long show, sometimes a little bit longer. There was a period of time for about a year that I was doing 2 hours at a day. And over the years, I've been, asked, and people have suggested, why don't you cut your show up and do little 15-minute chunks here, 10-minute chunks here, the way that people are doing online? And I've kind of been resistant to that process because I like the idea of being able to put information out there that the whole piece is in context. And as you're watching and listening to the show, I think you've come to understand that that's kind of how I like to look at a show. That from the beginning, when I'm describing the cosmic weather, it has a direct impact on everything else that's going on, because we're looking on a snapshot of what's going on in the world. And so just to take one piece out might be good, might help me if I'm interested in just getting hits, but I'm not interested in just getting hits. I'm interested in you seeing a big picture, a well-rounded version of what's going on. So for that reason, I like to do the whole hour show. I like to tell a whole picture of this is what the day is bringing. This is the energy. This is the activities that people are living and taking part of during the day. And so in that regards, I think that, I think there's something important there. Because I'm looking at the world, and I've been thinking a lot about this show over the weekend, and I'm looking at the world like you are, and I'm seeing lots of changes every single day. In my entire lifetime, I haven't seen a presidential race that has been like this. I haven't seen a world that is this out of balance like it is right now, and the challenges that are taking place. We seem to be in a very precarious position at this moment in time. And we can look at the stories of the Bible, and we could say the book of Revelation is unfolding. We could look at other apocryphal texts, and we could say that that information is unfolding. We have a lot of different ways to look at things. But one thing that is certain is something is happening. What is causing the thing that's happening? Not quite certain. That's part of what we're trying to figure out as we go. One reminder comes through the Hermetic principles we've looked at. Principle of cause and effect. Everything causes everything else. If we go back to the very first principle of mentalism, we're reminded that we're in a universe that is a mental universe, a mental construct. So the mind is very important. What goes on with the mind, how we communicate back and forth our ideas through this mind. And when we communicate our ideas travel through vibrations that move back and forth from one polarity to the next. And they move back in rhythm. So there's a rhythm to how things move in the universe. When that rhythm takes part and causes things to have an effect, and the effect is another cause, and all of these are working back together, male and female working. Okay, very basic universal principles all defined. So being that this is a mental situation, and the mentalism is the first, the mind of God is a huge mind. We look at the situation on Earth and we realize that information is very important. If this is a mental structure, then information is important. So what we have going on is an information war. An information war. He who has the information controls things. If somebody has information and hides it from others, then it keeps the others from having that information to be able to move forward. In the Garden of Eden, one being had the information and then wanted to keep it from the other being. Said you can't eat from that tree because then you'll get information and then you'll be as good as we are, and we don't want that. We want to maintain control of you. Here in this day and age, we have media outlets, mainstream news stations that give information out, but their information is not complete. And when we go online and we look at the information available, we see complete stories and versions of what they're telling on the mainstream, when we realize there's a disconnect. It's an information war. Somebody's trying to keep information from somebody. Esoteric science is the same way. We're told that we shouldn't study astrology. We shouldn't study these various sciences because they're the work of the devil. Yet behind the scenes, the various priest organizations and groups and societies behind the scenes are using these very same esoteric sciences and evolving and advancing themselves along, all the while telling people not to do that. Because if they do that, they would understand what the priest caste would know, and therefore they would possibly be as good as they are. There's many examples, but it's an information war, and the information is shared from person to person, from being to being. In this day and age, we have tools, social media tools that are used where we can share and do things in ways we haven't been able to do. Not in our recorded history, which goes back 6,000 years ago to Sumer and the stories of the Anunnaki. I'm doing a lot of putting together a lot of research. I'm going to be talking about them later over the course of the week. But suffice to say, here we are. We have all of this information in this day and age. We're passing it around, and there's something that stops people from passing information, or something that people get by in order to pass their information, and that barrier is fear. In this day and age, we've become fearful of saying something because of what we think somebody is going to think about that. We're afraid that if we say the wrong thing, somebody's going to lash out, or they're going to stop being our friends, or these day and age with the social networks, they're going to defriend us or give us a thumbs down or some nonsense like that. We're so attached to these particular different things that stroke our egos. So we're getting lost and caught up and missing the point of what's going on. We're having these little battles and squabbles. And we really need to get a hold of things, because in the midst of all of these distractions, something very real is happening. So we need to take a look at what's going on, and we need to be able to understand where we fit into the midst of this. As an example, the Bible says that we are in a time, and it keeps using the phrase separating of the wheat from the chaff. Well, we're seeing very direct separations going on in life right now. People are choosing sides. There are those who are showing themselves out to be complete bad guys, and they're choosing the side of the bad guys, and there's those who are choosing the side of the good guys. It's truly the battle of good versus evil playing itself out, and we are all those who are participating in this drama. So the question is, which side are we going to? Where are we leaning? Depends on what we're listening to. Depends on the information we're getting. So I want to show you a few things that are going on in the world, just so we can be on the same page, because it's important that we're aware. And I'm bringing this show up and doing things today because I really feel that we're at a crucial time, that if we don't get this and understand this, we could be in a whole lot of trouble here in America. Because we've been on a great experiment, and we've had our ups, we've had our downs, and right now we are in danger of completely going the wrong way. We weren't set up as a socialistic state. We were set up as a republic. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. We're ruled by law. Democracy is mob rule. We weren't set up as that. And yet you have many tell us and tell you that we are democracy. But they are incorrect on that assessment. We are not socialism, and we're certainly not communism, but we have a lot of mindset that wants to take us in that direction. So we're having a battle out there. There are many groups that are fighting with each other, and the question I have is, how long do things really get to that point of no return? And it feels like we could be there. Now, I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just trying to make us aware that we have to correct the situation pretty quickly, because it seems to be escalating. And if we don't get it in control, then we're going to have to make some other decisions later after the fact. So here's some of the things just to be aware of. First of all, there's a walk taking place now. It started on the 2nd of April, and it's called Democracy Spring. Again, Democracy Spring. We're a republic, but we have a group out there that is doing this thing called Democracy Spring. They're doing an 11-day march. They started on the 2nd, or 10-day march, and they're going all the way to the 11th, where they're going to do a sit-in Washington, D.C. Now, one of the groups involved with this is MoveOn.org, Bill Ayers' group. Yeah, Bill Ayers was a radical who was against the United States and did some bombing during the 60s. That same Bill Ayers. He's now involved with the group pushing the idea of democracy, even though we're a republic. Bill Ayers, who wants to see a socialistic, communistic regime in this country, is out there molding the minds of young kids in order to think that we're a democracy when we're actually a republic. That's going on as we speak. They're marching the streets as we speak, heading towards Washington, D.C., where something is going to occur on the 11th. Now, here's another article talks about that exact same thing. People that were out there the first day. I'm just going to leave this to you because I have a lot of info I want to get to. At the same time, we have this incident taking place in Dallas. Huey P. Newton Gun Club prevented a group from the Bureau of American Islamic Relations. It kept them from protesting at the mosque. So in other words, we had this group, Huey P. Newton Gun Club, was protecting the mosque from those who wanted to protest against it. Well, why would somebody want to protest against the mosque in America? Because of the concerns with what is going on with Islam. What part is peaceful? What part isn't? That's the battle. That's the conversation in the world. So rather than this group going and being able to protest, which is a First Amendment right, this group, Huey P. Newton's Gun Club, went out and shut down their First Amendment right by standing out there locked and loaded. Okay, so now we've got a battle brewing. We have a confrontation that is on the verge of these groups of people. Okay, groups of people. And then here's a video I want you to check out. This here is a very important video. This is a gentleman who is a military, former drill sergeant, and he goes off on an amazing rant about what's going on in the military, why it is decimated, what's taking place from his perspective. And he's speaking out because he's saying that those who are in the military are unable to do so because if they did, they'll be punished for that. But now that he himself is not in the military at this point in time, as a former drill sergeant, he's speaking out. And this rant here is, well, it's a classic rant. You need to listen to it. You need to hear what he is saying because it all is making tremendous sense. Now, as we're sitting here talking, I'm just going to let this video behind me play because what you're seeing here, and this is the crux of where I want to go, which is about Donald Trump. This playing behind me are people entering his talk yesterday in Wisconsin. Donald Trump is leading a movement. Okay, there's a movement that is happening through this process. Millions of people who have not voted or participated in the process are coming out because they're tired of what is going on in this country. They're tired of the lies. They're tired of the corruption. They're tired of the deceit. And through the course of the time he's been in this campaign, there's been things that he has said which have been a bit rough around the edges. But he keeps telling you he's not a politician. So he doesn't have the slick politician answers that you hear from all of the others. But isn't that good? That's a good thing, right? Because we don't want those slick politician answers. We want a guy, somebody who knows what's going on. And as he's been pointing out the corruption in the media, the corruption in the government, and all the different corruption, you could see those who are corrupt are attacking him left and right. There are leaders from around the country. There are leaders across this planet which are attacking him. And he isn't even the president at this moment. He's just a candidate. So there's something going on. There's a movement. Look at all these people that are out here. Look at the amount of people that are at these rallies. It just goes on and on and on. Because people are tired and fed up. You know, I was thinking about this and trying to get a grasp on what's really taking place here. Why is it that we have this amount of interest? And not only interest, but the amount of backlash. It's real simple. It boils down to psychology. We here in America have been used to accepting the lesser of two evils for such a long period of time that we think that that's all we're capable of. We have leaders that come in that make promises and they don't fulfill them. They don't follow through. And we accept that that's okay because we've accepted that these are the best that we can get. We've accepted that our systems of education and all the other systems in this country are broken down. We've accepted that the overall system is broken and isn't working. We've just accepted that. And here we have a man, Donald Trump, who has had major success as a businessman, has come forward and, like a motivational speaker, is saying to us, we can be great. We don't have to be average anymore. We don't have to accept the lesser of two evils, that we can be great. And in him saying that, it's freaking a lot of people out because people aren't used to hearing the words, we can be great, you can be great, I want to make you great. We're not used to hearing that in America. So because we're not used to hearing that, it's a challenge because people are like, oh, I can't believe, really, we can be great? You mean we don't have to choose the lesser of all of these things? So it's a big psychological situation that's taking place. It's an information war. Of course we can be great. Of course what he says can happen because that is the nature of spirit that flows through us. So if we buy into all of the lies that are being told, then we can just buy into the lies. But if we want to really accept the fact that we can be great, we can rise to the occasion and be better than we are, that gives us someplace to go. And what better example is there than Mr. Trump? Look at what he's created in his life. $10 billion. This man has a $10 billion business. If you're in business in this world, and I don't care who you are, if you are a student in college and you are studying business and you don't like Donald Trump, then there's a problem. Then maybe you're in the wrong profession because this man is the epitome of business success. Wouldn't we like to really see what this man can do? Or do we want to be on the other side of the fence a couple of years from now dealing with the politicians and then say, geez, wonder what could have happened if we had Donald? Where could we have gone if we had followed that path to be great? Or did we decide, no, it's too challenging to be great, too challenging to try to make America great again? We're just going to be average. We're just going to be ordinary. We're just going to pick the lesser of two evils because that's all we know. That's what this is about. So I have here a compilation over at YouTube, a YouTube channel of videos for you to check out. There's a lot of really good ones here. This one here, the best Donald Trump video ever. I'm telling you, you watch this. When you start watching these things, put aside all of the controversy. Put aside all of the nonsense that's gone on. And just look at this for what it is. This man is a leader. And you watch this man who's a leader, and you tell me that this isn't an opportunity we'd like to have for this country. You'll watch, this is exactly what we need. Somebody who wants to lead. Somebody who wants to encourage each one of us to be great. And all you have to do is listen to his videos. Listen to the videos. Listen to his words. Don't get caught up in the media. You know, the media has lied a lot. Donald said that he wanted to have a temporary ban on Muslims till we knew what was going on. But the media says Donald wants to ban all Muslims. Well, that's not what he said. Donald said that there's some bad people coming across the border illegally into our country from Mexico, and sometimes they're, rapists and murderers and killers. He didn't say everyone. He said there's some people that are coming illegally. Well, the media said Donald hates all Mexicans, but that's, again, not what he said. He talked about illegals, and he talked about about the bad people, and he talked about temporary. I want to make a T-shirt that says, "What part of temporary and illegals do you not understand?" Because that's the whole crux of it. And the media keeps going on and on and on, lying about what he said. So that's why you have so many individuals not knowing and just saying, "We don't like Donald, he's racist." Well, what did he say? People can't tell you, because this man isn't talking racist. If this man was racist, if this man was a bad man, we'd know it by now. He's been in the public eye for so many years that we would know who he is, and we do know who he is. And if he was being different than we knew him to be, we would notice that right off the bat. But we're seeing the same guy we've watched for so many seasons of his television show, and so for so many years out in the world as a businessman. Just listen to what the guy says. Now, here's a couple other videos. Here's a video. This is the full speech from the other day. You can go online, and all of his speeches are done live over YouTube. You can follow those links. There's 3 more today. Here's a video here. It's called "Learn to Love Trump in 12 Minutes or Less." Really good video there. This one here, I don't really like the title of it. It's called "The Assassination of Donald Trump," but it's really about the media's assassination attempt of his character. And it gets into laying out the things that the media has said about him, and then pointing out the inconsistencies in those. And you start to see that they have their own particular agenda that they're following. And then finally down here, if you want to have a good laugh, this is somebody took, and they've been taking videos and putting Donald Trump's head on the videos, and making a little bit of a movie. This one is a scene from The Gladiator, and you just got to watch it to see. It's Donald Trump is the gladiator, and all of the opponents are the other gladiators that he's fighting there, and it's pretty hilarious. So check that out. Now, I have a couple other links for you here I want you to see. This first link here is Diamond and Silk. If we're going to talk about Donald Trump, we need to talk about Diamond and Silk, because they are 2 amazing fans. They're absolutely wonderful. I've been talking about Donald for quite some time, and if you haven't seen their videos, you need to go see them. I also have here a link to Donald Trump's main website. Here's a link to his Twitter feed. And if you want to have an interesting experiment, join Donald Trump's Twitter feed. And during the course of the day, and then keep it open on your phone, and during the course of the day, you keep getting these tweets from him. And it's kind of cool, because you get these tweets and you almost feel like Donald's got to be back there now sending this. And you get another tweet, and you just know that he probably is personally sending this himself. And it's kind of cool, because then you're able to tweet back and communicate back, and there's a dialogue, a discussion going on. It's pretty awesome. And he sends out a lot of tweets during the course of the day. I'd say he sends out about a dozen tweets a day. He sends them out in blocks of 3 or 4 at a time, and it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty great use of the technology. And then finally, there's one other link here, and this link is to his schedule, his speaking schedule. Today he's in La Crosse, Wisconsin at 10 a.m. 1:30 he's going to be in Superior, Wisconsin, and at 7 p.m. tonight he's going to be in Milwaukee. So you can follow the schedule, where he's going to go, the links there, and that way you can stay informed about where he's going to be. So if he's in your area, you can definitely get out to see him. So I wanted to bring this up. I like Donald Trump. I like what he's about. Is he the most perfect person in the world? I don't know. Probably not. Nobody's the most perfect person in the world. But we have particular issues that are going on. And the number one issue, or one of the number one, is our economy. So why not have a person who has a successful multi-billion-dollar business help our economy get back on track? Don't you think that person who has created a multi-billion-dollar business would have a little bit more understanding of how to bring an economy back than somebody who's never done a business? Ted Cruz doesn't have a business. Kasich doesn't have a business. They don't do the things that Donald does, so how could they give you the same advice that he could? Donald's a master negotiator. So I can go on and on and on. I really like what the man's about. I've been watching from a sales perspective. I've been watching from him as a motivational speaker perspective. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I think that the media is completely baffled because they don't understand and they don't want to try to understand. They just want to try to take him down because he's different. And if he gets things and gets the people all moving in the direction of truth, it destroys the narrative of the mainstream media because they're all about deception. It might be a good thing, though, because there's such a lock on everything. Maybe some of the media wants to break from the grasp of the deception they're in. Maybe this would be an opportunity for that to happen. I don't know, but I think there's great possibilities, and I think that we are at a precipice, and I think that we need to be smart. I bring this up because tomorrow there's a big day in Wisconsin, and we want to see things moving along. And that's how I feel about this. I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to share all those links with you so that you could make an informed decision. And, we need to have other voices out there than the mainstream. They're not being honest, and it is an information war. So if you're misinformed, it's because you've allowed yourself to be fooled or lied to by somebody. Remember, if we just think of the words that Yeshua, Jesus, said to us over and over was, do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. In other words, don't let somebody fool you. Got a lot of those in public positions, in government positions, in media positions, which are trying to fool you, trying to fool me. Therefore, we need to keep our eyes open. We need to keep our ears open. We need to be vigilant. And we need to let that spirit flow through us because that's the whole secret to everything. Okay? There you go. That's my 2 cents or 5 cents or a quarter's worth, whatever you want to have. That's my thoughts on the matter. Now, here's a story. So over at In5D, Army scientists successfully teleport soldiers. This is an intriguing article, not 100% sure of its validity. From what we know, the technology has existed for years. Whether this is authentic or not remains to be seen. But the article was posted on the Army.mil website, the official homepage for the U.S. Army, which gives it credibility. Perhaps this is a psyop to baffle the so-called opponents. Perhaps this is an April Fool's joke that was posted on April 1st. Maybe it's a soft disclosure, even if it's a joke. If this is true, it wouldn't surprise me, not at all. It's about time that some of these suppressed technologies get revealed. My guess is that most likely an April Fool's joke done in poor taste. Either way, please use your own discernment. Okay, this was the author, or Greg Prescott, over at In5D, and here's the article. It says Army scientists have successfully teleported a fully equipped squad from a Massachusetts research and development facility to a training area in Germany, the Natick Soldier Systems Center announced today. The 9 human research volunteers, fresh out of advanced individual training, were participating in experiments in the Doriot climactic chambers at NSSC when they disappeared and moments later materialized at the Grafenwolfer training area completely unharmed. The chambers are capable of replicating any climate or weather in the world, but have never before been used in this manner. Teleportation, made famous in the Star Trek television series and movies, has been until what the Army is using called the Natick Incident, a hypothetical way of moving objects from place to place. American writer Charles Forge is reported to having coined the word in 1931. Officials at Natick were elated at the event, which promises to one day revolutionize the way that American troops and equipment are transported around the globe. It could also ultimately make overseas bases obsolete as forces are instead moved from U.S. soil to remote trouble spots in the blink of an eye. No one is more impressed than I am, says Benjamin Storm, who manages the 61-year-old climactic chambers at Natick. One moment I was chatting with the young soldiers, and next they all vanished into thin air. The soldiers were dressed in combat gear for the revolutionary experiment and being monitored by Storm and his colleagues, when they were sent from one continent to the other. Still photographs of the event were captured in the chambers and have been released by the Army. After thorough medical examinations at the Army hospital, they were flown back to the U.S. and returned to duty at Natick. It's one thing to see Captain Kirk or Mr. Spock do it in the movies, but it's another to have it happen in your real life. Says Private McCoy, one of the teleported soldiers. I felt a little tingling, and the next thing you know, I'm in Bavaria. I've always wanted to visit Europe, but I figured that I'd go by plane. Storm and Natick researchers are now poring over mountains of data from the development in hopes of replicating it. Meanwhile, the Army quickly established a teleportation study task force, which will be based at Natick. Leading scientists from private industry and academia worldwide are converging on the chambers to lend whatever assistance they can. According to Storm, a device not unlike the flux capacitor seen in the Back to the Future movie series was employed during the experiment. This led to immediate speculation that the Army was also working on time travel, but time travel requirements of generating 1.21 gigawatts is no trivial feat. We're only concerned with place, not time, said Storm in a twinkle of an eye. This development could change the entire course of human history. The task force expects to report its initial findings by April 1st of next year. Interesting article indeed, but keep in mind it just could be an April Fool's joke. But, stories are often placed places where they're made public, and then it doesn't matter if you're ridiculed or not because somebody did their job or they put it in a public setting. How it's received, it doesn't matter. So this could be a very real situation. It could be a disclosure by just putting it out and letting the people decide. Those who are going to laugh at it will laugh. Those who will understand the reality of it will understand it. Or it could be a complete hoax. That's the thing for all of us to figure out. That's what discernment is all about, my friends. Using our discernment to discern, to not be deceived. All right, that brings us to our channeled message for today. There we go. Archangel Gabriel.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message / Sunday, April 3rd, 2016 by Shelley Young. Dear ones, if you are having problems with your relationships with others, it is a sign that you are having problems with your relationship with yourself. It is simply an indicator to start asking, how am I not there for myself? Or, how have others not been there for me in the past, and how can I go fulfill that role for myself now? You are at a stage in your journey where relationships are coming much more to the forefront. Ultimately, it is your relationship with all the aspects of you that will set the tone for your interactions with others. So we recommend you sit with yourself and ask, what do I need from myself today? What did I need before that I didn't get that I can give myself today? You might be surprised at what comes up into your awareness. When you understand that you can fill in the gaps that you can, with your wisdom and love, complete the job others could not do for you, you automatically start to shift from victim consciousness. You also start to see that even though people may have erred and not been able to give you what you needed, that you can now step up and, being the expert on you, fulfill that role. You will see that it can really be okay after all, that you can heal, and evolve, and thrive. You may even get to the point where you can thank another for shining the spotlight on what was begging for your love and attention all along. Smiles, Archangel Gabriel.
Okay. Thank you for the message, Gabriel. Good message. Good message as always. So that brings us to our meditation for today. So, let's close our eyes. Deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another breath. And exhale. Now as you breathe in and out, I want you to look past the breath. Look past all that you know physically to see the information behind the breath, the information behind the ideas and the emotions. And as you look at this information, you see that there's a truth that feeds from deep in the cosmos through us. And as we move through the world and we express this truth within us, it is faced with the worldly response to this information. And if it is fearful, it tries to fight against us. And if it is in synchronicity, it allows us to share. And we see this battle back and forth of information. And we look across the world at other people and we see them battling with the same informational challenge. We've come to understand the control that is being placed on the media and the information that goes out. And we see this control as a chain, keeping us tied down to the illusionary story, to the narrative being told by those in power who simply want to maintain power for selfish reasons. So we imagine we have in our hands a huge, huge hammer. And we take this hammer and we smash it down upon this chain. And we break this chain. And we see this chain shatter. And all of the information that was held back is now released. And as the information is released, it's as if a cloud of darkness dissipates and the light shines bright. And in this light of information, we see clearly the things that have been hidden from us. We understand clearly the truths that have been kept from us. We understand the lies and deception. So we send forgiveness out to all of those who were imposing such things. And then we send out peace and love. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, thank you for the gift of discernment. Thank you for the ability that we have to understand right from wrong, good from bad, truth from deception. We pray this day as we go through the world that we are able to see through the lies, see past the illusion, to understand even more so your truths that flow through us this day and all days. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey, observing the world, sharing the truths that are flowing through us. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment, filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment, filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for today. Thank you very much for being here. I think today was really important. It directly deals with what is going on here in America. We need to think carefully about the choices we're making. Wisconsin, tomorrow you got a big day ahead of you. Make it count. Make it count for the right reasons. This is a time we could do things right, and I really believe that the opportunity is before us. We just have to understand that the opportunity is there and make use of it to the best opportunity that we can. Because if we mess this up, we're only going to make things more challenging for ourselves. We know what we need to do. We know the truths that we need to embrace. We just have to be brave enough to do it. And it goes back to faith. It's not faith in God, because God is always going to be God. It's faith in our ability to bring God through, to allow God to emanate through us. Because we can choose to block that if we want, or we can choose to let it flow. And the faith is to allow that to flow. Have faith in our ability to look past the creature, the beast within us to allow that to shine. And if we do, all is well, my friends. All is well. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.